Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Martin Kampman to defeat Johnny Hendricks. And I'm here to talk about Marlon Chito Vera versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Okay, for this fight, I'm going with Deiveson Figueiredo, and I've got him winning by decision. I haven't played his money line at minus 160 because I don't play any money lines against Chito Vera. And that's because regardless of who the opponent is, there's one path to victory against Chito, and it's by decision. Unless he cuts him or he breaks his leg or whatever the fuck happens. But Chito, I trust his durability more than I trust the durability of fucking Max Holloway. And that's really just talking about their chins. But unlike Max, Chito's never been submitted either. He's just a really tough guy to get out of there. So I will wait for the props and bet on Deiveson Figueiredo. And I'll wait for the over-under as well, because I do think if Chito Vera wins this fight, his best course is by decision. Although Chito is so fucking dangerous that I suppose a finish is always possible. But Deiveson's only been finished truly once, and it was by rear naked choke to Brandon Moreno. That was in their 7th fight, I think. It might have been the 8th. But it was in one of them, and he was bested by a submission. And then he was TKO'd once illegitimately. I think that was in the 12th fight against Brandon Moreno. But he was doing well, and whatever. Doctor stoppage. So I trust the durability really of both guys, but I have so much faith in the durability of Chito, and since I'm betting against him, I will play that prop for Deiveson Figueiredo by decision. Deiveson Figueiredo's looked great since making it to bantamweight. He was forced to move up after having the 12 fights with Moreno, and he's looked really good against Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt, two very good fighters, especially Rob Font in my opinion. But Figueiredo looked especially sharp and mixed in the grappling more than I expected him to, more than I expected him to be able to. But he has. I think he's a solid addition to the bantamweight division, and I think that grappling and the wrestling will score him valuable points against Chito Vera. Chito, he's not the easiest guy to dominate, really. He's always working, but he's easier to take down than he should be because he's a pretty high-level fighter. And I do think Deiveson will be able to score more points. I think he's faster on the feet, by the way. The numbers seem to tell a different story that Chito is more active. But Chito likes to sit back, especially early. He gives away round 1 in just about every one of his victories, only to come back and put the guys away in rounds 2 or 3. He's a slower-paced fighter, and I do think Deiveson will be winning the points battle right out of the gate. But I also think Deiveson is going to be able to slow this fight down and take away the danger of Chito by bringing him to the mat. I don't think he'll be able to go through him like he did to Cody Garbrandt, but I think he'll be able to score points like he did to Rob Font. Deiveson was, and still is probably, could be one of the best flyweights in the world. It looks like he got kicked out of his division. It was really just the UFC saying, we can't promote another one of these fights. So even though Moreno lost the title not long afterwards, he moved up to bantamweight, and I doubt he's got any regrets. He's already beaten 2 top fighters, and Chito Vera, a guy who just challenged for the world title in his last fight, is a guy that I expect Deiveson Figueiredo to beat. Chito's more dangerous, but Deiveson's more dynamic. I think in general, without anybody getting rocked, Deiveson lands the more power punches, the more powerful strikes. Chito's a little tricky. He's got diverse kicks and timely knees and elbows, front kicks and the rest of it. So Deiveson Figueiredo's really got to be careful anytime he makes his way into range. But I do think he's faster. I think he's more athletic. I think he'll be beating Chito to the punch. And before the fight's able to turn around completely, I think Deiveson will be able to slow it down by mixing in grappling. So I will be looking to bet on my official prediction, which is Deiveson Figueiredo wins by decision. And those, I'm going to have to wait for the props for that. But I'll also be looking for the over-under to drop. That might drop sooner, and I'd consider the over to be a bet on Deiveson Figueiredo, my pick, of course, but also a small hedge on Chito Vera. Because, again, even though he's incredibly dangerous and one of those patient killers who can turn the fight around on a dime, I still think Chito Vera, if he was to win this fight, it'd be by decision. So, like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.